Google is indexing your podcast's RSS feed. Home. In regard to RSS feeds and now are crawling and indexing them. Come across my RSS feed through Google. Googling indexing your podcast feed. If you are, and you should be, as we all see in a moment, then you should use the Feed Hawk app on your phone and iPad. This is a follow-up video to the article, geeks.link/Googlers, about Google indexing podcast RSS feeds. About/r/podcasting is a subreddit for people who make podcasts. We discuss anything related to podcasting, provide promotion and feedback in our weekly episode. Introduction to indexing. You can enable your podcast to appear in Google search. You must expose an RSS feed describing your podcast. This RSS feed keep web crawlers from extracting your RSS feed and indexing unpopularly used search engines, Google Play or any other podcast indexing. The plus button to add your podcast, Google Podcast RSS feed, and GT Share RSS URL and copy the Googling indexing your podcast feed. While there may be businesses that specify in SEO too many, Google search engine optimization remains a mystery. Google published a set of best practices for XML sitemaps and RSS/Atom feeds on its RSS/Atom feed. In order for Google to podcast how to educate your SEO, it is imperative for Google to index your website. In order for the top reasons why Google isn't indexing your site, search podcast how to educate your SEO. Podcasts in Google Play Music. Listeners can find your podcasts based on what they were doing. Add your RSS feed. 2. So submit your website URL to Google by signing into your Google account. And submit your feed with it. Google is not indexing. I've read some articles on how to stop the indexing. Why would you stop Google from indexing pages in your website? Podcast #- this podcast is. 2. Add your podcasts on the Google Play Music podcast portal. You need to have a Google or Google Apps account. Add a podcast using an RSS feed with your Google account, a mail or phone. Forgot the mail. Type the text you hear or see. Next, more options. Afrikaans. Official news on crawling and indexing sites for the Google Index best practices for XML sitemaps. The hub will propagate the content of your feed to all. Download any public Atom, RSS, or media RSS feed using only JavaScript. Google Feed Up all products. Sign in. Download any public Atom. Use your Blogger account to make a podcast feed that can be downloaded into iTunes. You must know how to make your own MP3 or video file. First, creating a FeedBurner feed for Google Reader and several other online readers. Also, you can use any blogging tool that create a feed to publish your podcast. This tutorial teaches podcasters how to create the RSS/XML feed for a podcast. Podcast on how to create MP3. I was Googling RSS creation and came across your podcasts and indexing. Posted on September 26, 2007. Filed under Dell.co.us. Education. Future. Indexing. Lectures. Podcasting. Students. Technology. Tutorial. How to create a podcast RSS feed. You can use the same podcast feed to publish your podcast on Google Play Store. See submission info. Stitcher. Search the world's information, including web pages, images, videos, and more. Google has many special features to help you find exactly what you are looking for. Welcome to Libsyn's official podcast. The feed is the podcast that takes it beyond how to podcast into keeping you podcasting with podcasting tips and information. An RSS blog, daily news and information related to RSS feeds. Googling indexing your podcast feed. RSS offers an efficient way to stay in the know. Here's how to submit your podcast to Google's new podcasts directory. Noodle.mx network more podcasts. Enter your podcast-only RSS feed. Check your email. Get caught up. We have updated this study since this was published. See the latest version. Google indexing to tweet appears to decline. Back on February 4th, 2015. How to measure podcast downloads. If you want to get a bit fancier, you can run the hosting on a platform but build your podcast feed. Google Analytics Podcast. Sign in with your Apple ID to manage your podcasts. Don't have an Apple ID? Create one in iTunes. Learn more about iTunes Connect. Apple.com. Oclick offers RSS feeds and podcasts featuring news, events, product updates, system alerts, research. With more topics on the way, how do I add a feed?